Good afternoon and welcome to today's session of Imagine America Radio, our continuing Career College Exposition webinar series. My name is Lee Doubleday and I'm the Director of Operations here at the Imagine America Foundation. I'm excited about today's topic, the benefits of career and technical schools, sponsored by Automotive Training Center. Automotive Training Center has two locations in Exton and Warminster, Pennsylvania. And Automotive Training Center is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 5,000 Imagine America students. Without taking valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about the Imagine America Foundation to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Since our beginning in 1999, Imagine America remains a leading sponsor of scholarship aid to enrolling high school students. However, our country faces a serious shortage in certified technicians. We hear from employers in virtually all sections of the country desperately looking for qualified employees, so we need to do more. Our partner in today's presentation, as I mentioned earlier, is Automotive Training Center. And joining us today to discuss in detail the looming technician shortage and how Automotive Training Center is helping meet this need is Samantha Mantegna. Samantha is the Director of High School Admissions and has been working with high schools for over 5 years, so you're in great hands today. But before turning the program over to Samantha, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be 30 minutes maximum with question and answers at the end of the presentation. All participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the chat feature or the Q&A feature in this Zoom meeting. At the end of the presentation, or approximately 2:25, I will then present any questions offered by the participants. We'll address as many questions as possible and provide written responses and follow-up emails if we do not get to them. So please feel free to use the Q&A or the chat feature during the presentation to ask your question. We'll have a hard close at 2:30. So without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Samantha. Samantha, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks so much, Lee. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. I look forward to talking about the Automotive Training Center with each and every one of you. As Lee said, my name is Samantha, and I'm with ATC, otherwise known as the Automotive Training Center, with locations in Exton and Warminster, Pennsylvania. We have a very long history out there in the world today. We actually just celebrated our 104th year of being open, and I'll talk a little bit about our history as we go as well. But obviously, it's kind of hard to believe sometimes that cars have been around that long and even longer. But we do a wonderful job here at the school of getting our students trained properly on the technical side and also giving them the soft skills they need to be out there working in today's environment. And we all know things are changing drastically on a regular basis. There's a lot of uncertainty out there in the world today, but the one thing is for sure, we are always going to need cars, trucks, etc., to get from point A to point B. And with that being said, the world we live in is also very much relying on technology these days, and especially in the new vehicles that are out there today. A lot of people have that thought process that, people who used to work on cars were not educated or they weren't smart enough. And I'm going to tell you this, the cars that are out there today, you need to be educated and you need to be intelligent to work on them because they're all based around computers and technology now. So education is going to be key in this industry to get them into their foot in the door. And then also their education is never going to stop because they're constantly learning in this field today. And we're going to talk a lot about that in the presentation. Lee mentioned how vital it is in this environment today, especially across the whole United States, not just in the PA, Jersey, New York, Maryland, Delaware areas, that they're looking for skilled young technicians, but it's all over the United States as well. So this is definitely something that we're promoting a lot of, and that our school is educating these students to get out there and start working in the industry today. So with that being said, let's get started with the presentation. And we can go on to our next slide. So first up, as I had mentioned in the beginning about technology, the one thing is for sure, and I don't know if anyone knows anybody in the industry today, or obviously you guys all drive cars and trucks and things like that, so you know the amount of technology that they're pumping into the vehicles that we drive, but it's all different manufacturers, from foreign cars to domestic cars, it doesn't matter. They're always trying to create the next best thing. And we know cars today, they can drive themselves, they can park themselves, you can talk to your car can talk to you, and the list just goes on and on. And what they're developing is just nonstop. They don't see a timeline or a time frame that they need to stop, implementing more and more technology into our daily lives, and especially in the vehicles that we drive today. So that needs, basically that it leads to students being able to get the proper technician and training that they need to become these technicians, if you will. So you'll notice in these pictures, these students working with their hands, they're with their computer system. So when they're educated here at this school, they're doing all of the above. They're learning it in the classroom. They're learning it, how to take notes properly. They're learning, what's important, how to, understand the concepts behind everything. So they're going to be having math and science and all those types of subjects that they learned about before will be implemented into these classes as well. Then they're going to get to go out into the lab and shop areas, and that's where they get to work on everything at. So they take the knowledge that they learn in the classroom, and then they combine it with the hands-on knowledge, if that makes sense to everybody. So let's move on and talk a little bit more about ATC. So as I said in the beginning, our school has been open now 104 years, so I have to change that logo at the top, but 2021 marked 104 years. We started in 1917 in Philadelphia as a division of Spring Garden College. We stayed in Philadelphia for quite some time. The cars we were working on back then would have been like the Ford Model Ts, if you guys are into history or know anything about the old school cars that are out there. Also, you're talking like World War I. We were there through World War II. So again, there's a lot of history with this school. We moved to our Exton location in 1971 because there was a growing demand in the industry. There was a lot more people on the roads, a lot more manufacturers out there today. So we needed a larger space and bigger facility. So we've been at the Exton location since 1971. In 1991, a graduate of ATC and his family actually purchased the school. So he graduated from ATC a while back. He worked out in the industry. He had his own business. He taught at ATC, and then he and his family bought the school in 91. So it's been family owned and operated ever since. And then in 2005, we opened up our second location in the Bucks County area of Pennsylvania, which is our Warminster location. There was another growing boom in the industry, a lot more cars on the road, a lot more people driving, a lot more manufacturers again. So they needed a second location. And this one works as well because it handles our like Jersey area, New York area, points north, and then obviously the Philadelphia and surrounding suburbs too. So we kind of handle all of that area, which is great. Our school has many awards and accolades over the years. Like I said, we have a very long history out there. We have a lot of great alliances with all the different dealerships and independent shops and diesel shops. Our goal is to get the students into the building, get them educated on the technical side for what they need to know to go out there and actually work in the industry. And it's also to get them the soft skills that I mentioned as well. And let's move forward. So let's get right into it. So our first program that we offer here at the school is called the Automotive Technology program. So this is going to be a little bit different from a student's high school experience or even at the college level, because when a student comes to ATC, they get to take the classes they need for their major right away. So unlike when I went to college and I had to take all my prerequisite classes and all those sorts of things, it's a little bit different here at ATC. The other cool part for these students is that they don't have to take all these classes at one time. They're taking one course at a time. So for instance, if they're in an engine repair class, that's going to be 8 weeks long. They learn everything there is to know about an engine, all the parts and components to it, how to tear it down to its bare bones, how to be able to put it back together again and make it start, to be able to tell and diagnose if there's problems and issues using scan tools and laptops and things of that nature. So again, the ins and outs of how an engine runs and operates. They'll have the classroom time to learn it and understand it. Then they'll get to go out to the shop and lab areas. And that's where they actually get to perform the test and the diagnostics and things like that on the actual engines. Once the student has done that class, they then will pass the course and move on to their next one. Their next class could be something like steering and suspension. But again, that's all they focus in on when they're in that class at that time. So unlike, again, having to take several classes a day, they want the student to fully understand and comprehend one subject area before they move on to the next one. And again, practice makes perfect. So the hands-on side of this school is very, very important, because I don't know about you, but I could take all the notes I want, but I know that I could not go out there and start working on a car right now because I've never practiced or even used any of the stuff that, that they're actually working on. So again, this is definitely something with skilled trades that you need to be able to do the hands-on part here. Now, going through this program, the students are able to bring in their own cars and trucks to work on. They really like being able to do that. We have a plethora of cars here at the school, all different makes and models that the students are able to work on. And then we have a couple different manufacturers that we specifically work with that we get, that our students get trained on. So we do Mopar, which would be Chrysler, Fiat, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We have Mercedes, we have Volvo, and we just recently added Volkswagen to the mix as well. So again, basically these dealerships slash manufacturers are killing like two birds with one stone. The students get to be trained on these specific makes and models. They get to work with all the technology involved with those specific manufacturers. And again, this is all training that they get to put on their resume after they graduate. A lot of times these students will work for these different dealerships part-time while they're in school. And if they like them where they are, they'll end up bringing them on full-time when it comes time to graduate as well, which is great. In the state of Pennsylvania and many other states, we're required to get our cars inspected every single year. So before the students graduate from the program, they will get their PA emissions and inspections license along with their MAX certification, which is basically mobile air conditioning. Okay. Now, I keep talking about technology and where this industry is going. So I always find it fascinating to see the latest and greatest concept cars that are out there. And they're all by different manufacturers. So right up here on the screen, you guys will see this one's by Mercedes-Benz. It's called the Silver Arrow. This is a real car. They created it. They're not selling it. I can't imagine what the price tag would be on it. But just to kind of give you an idea of how these manufacturers keep coming up with the next best thing. This car is a one-seater cockpit style like race car, carbon fiber frame, which is very lightweight, very expensive. It's 100% electric. So cars are very complex to begin with, but as soon as you add hybrid technology, electric features to the vehicle, you're just making it even more complex, more and more and more as the time progresses there. But this car is pretty quick, 750 horsepower, 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. The other interesting thing about this car, they have a built-in race coach to it. Now, obviously, we don't need all this to drive a car, but this is the way they think. So this guides the driver to drive better, to race better, if you will. It's kind of like a virtual reality / video game that's built into this car. So these are the types of things that these manufacturers are doing. Here's another cool one by Mercedes based off the movie Avatar, if you guys have ever seen that before. James Cameron film, Planet Pandora, everything on the planet is basically living. So they made this car look the same way. It's got these bionic flaps on the back of it that they move, they change color, they relay messages. The interior is 100% vegan, all recyclable materials. There's no steering wheel in this car. Everything is done in the center console area. And if you want to drive the car, you can. If you don't, the car can drive you. These are just some of the features that are kind of crazy with this vehicle. And then it's also 100% electric. The battery power on this thing is crazy. Less than 15 minutes to fully charge it, and you can go for over 435 miles. This is just kind of giving you ideas and examples of what is coming out there, what these car companies, these manufacturers are developing. And you clearly can tell that they're not stopping with the technology. So again, education is key in this industry today. Next up, we have our automotive and diesel technology program. This is going to be 19 months long, so it's going to be a little bit longer. These students will take all of the automotive classes I just showed you in the previous slide, but then they concentrate on the diesel side of things. So diesels are in a lot of different things, from cars, trucks, boats, buses, planes, trains, construction equipment, farming equipment, you name it. It's got a diesel engine in it. Diesels can be small, like in a car or pickup truck. They can be medium, like in a box truck, or they can be very large, like the Caterpillar engine you see on the screen right here, that would go into like an over-the-road, like 18-wheeler type of a vehicle. Students are going to learn how to diagnose these diesel engines from any size. They're going to be able to know all the parts and components, tear it down to its bare bones, be able to build it back up again, make sure it starts. Obviously, if it doesn't start, they have to figure out why it isn't starting. They're going to know all the parts and components, like I said before. And diesel has totally taken a turn towards the technology side as well. Everything with diesel these days is all based upon computer systems and technology. As you can see here, this is a scan tool that they're utilizing to work on this diesel engine, to run some diagnostic tests on it. And then down here, this is diesel pickup truck, and this is a laptop computer that they're using to run a diagnostic test on it. So these are all things that they need to know and understand and learn while they're here in the building. It's not just opening up the hood of a car or truck anymore and think you're going to tinker with something. It's not the way it works in this industry anymore. So these students are going to be trained on the automotive side, on the diesel side, and then on the fuel systems for diesel. They're all different. Just because it's the same manufacturer doesn't mean it's going to be the same diesel fuel system. So again, they're going to learn the ins and outs. And then, like I said before, diesel is found in a lot of different things, and we work with a lot of different companies with diesel as well. These are just a couple companies that we work with just to kind of show you where students can go, kind of take their prowess if they're into smaller diesels, bigger diesels, medium. There's a lot of different avenues that they can go down. And then, like I mentioned previously, Mopar, Mercedes, Volvo, these are all the programs that we offer. And then we just recently added Volkswagen. I don't have the slide up here for Volkswagen, but we did just add Volkswagen to the training facilities here at the school. Next up, we have our high performance program. In this program, the students will take all of the automotive classes I showed you in the beginning, and then they're going to specialize here. So they're going to take courses such as machine shop, advanced machine shop, engine rebuilding, welding, and fabrication. So for lack of a better term, if students are into fast cars, muscle cars, tuner cars, race cars, engine rebuilding, this is basically everything that's kind of going to take place here. So they'll start out in the machine shop learning what each and every one of the machines are. There's about 25 to 30 different machines in there. They need to understand what every machine is, what it does, how it operates, how it functions, and then they'll be able to kind of basically hone out and bore different engines in that machine shop. So if a student has their own engine, they can bring that in and work on it. If not, the school has engines for the students to work on. So for lack of a better term, you take an engine, it's manufactured a specific way, but you want to change it or alter it. You're going to tear it down to its bare bones, and then you're going to be able to hone out and bore different aspects of that engine block in the machine shop to make it faster, more powerful, etc. So all fun things that they get to utilize. And they get to use a lot of diagnostic tools and equipment. For instance, what you see right here, this is an engine. These are students that rebuild it. This is their instructor, and it's on what's called an engine dyno. This is basically an engine that can run without being inside a car. There's a lot of wires. You can see that here. So obviously it's hooked up to a lot of different things. And then on the other side of the wall from that, there's a whole diagnostic center, I would call it, with different computer screens and diagnostic tools and basically things to run tests on this engine so they can tell if it's good, if it's bad, if they need to make it better, all of those types of things. I kind of equate it to being like at a doctor's visit, and say you have some problems and issues, the doctor starts running tests on you to kind of figure out and pinpoint what the problems are. It's kind of the same thing with the car industry today. They're using lots of different equipment to figure out problems and issues with the car. What is the problem? How can they go in and fix it? Up top here, this is an actual Camaro on what's called a chassis dyno, which is basically, like I like to call it, a treadmill for cars. We've all been on treadmills before, running, walking, etc. Some of us like them, some of us don't like them, but they basically do a couple different things. They have a readout on the screen of your calorie burn and how fast you're going or how slow you're going, your incline, the whole 9 yards. Well, think about this as basically a treadmill, but for cars. The computer system is over here on the wall. It's hooked up to this engine, and they get to run diagnostic tests on it. So they can do like horsepower pools where the driver gets in and they tell him when he's able to put his foot all the way down on the gas pedal. He can go as fast as he can, foot all the way down on the floor. They wait till a certain RPM level. He gets to that level, it takes his foot off the gas, and then it does a whole readout on the screen with a graph and everything like that on, the performance of this car. And this is all the different stuff that the students get to do and utilize here in this program, which is cool. And then our next program up is our collision reconditioning technology program. Cars are great when they're brand new, when you keep it looking nice and fresh and clean and shiny, and then bam, that car accident happens. And you look at your car and you're thinking, oh no, it doesn't look so great anymore. Well, luckily we have the collision people out there this is their job on the day to day, fixing and repairing vehicles. So the first thing that you're gonna, want to take a look at when you're in this industry is the cost estimating and damage repair side. We know cars are pricey, okay? They're pricey to buy, they're pricey to maintain, obviously pricey to fix and repair as well. So this person needs to know exactly what the damage is, how much it's going to cost, and an estimate that they can give to you properly within reason of what the actual final price will be. So again, this is a definite core course here that these students are going to get, because if someone's telling you a quote of $2,000 for your car damages and you go to pick it up and they're telling you $4,000, I think you might be a little upset by that. Surface prep. So this would be a course where they get the new parts like the fender, the bumper, the hood. They're going to have to prep them before they paint them to match the rest of the color on the car that they're putting it back on. So they'll do all that. They'll teach you that, painting and refinishing from the ground up. And then welding, structural, non-structural. You'll get your welding certification in this program. And then the students will also get 5 automotive classes. And then here's some of our students out in the shop and lab area. And you'll see them in the paint booth here. So they had to do the tedious job of taping off this vehicle, because the only thing they're concentrating on to paint is the hood, as you can see right here. They're wearing their equipment, their breathing apparatus. Again, they're doing all things that they would be doing out in the real world. They're utilizing those types of tools, and they need to practice here, because they're going to expect them to be at a certain level when they do go out there into the real world and start working. These students just finished up the paint class, so they give them different projects to do. A lot of students with like creativity that can draw and paint and all that kind of stuff. This is definitely a program that seems to draw attention towards them. And again, you can be very creative in the collision program as well, which is pretty cool. And then this young lady over here is welding. And like I said before, you will get your welding certification in this program. Our last one that we offer here at the school is marine. So we do boats, anything from small, medium to large watercraft, inboard, outboard, stern drive, diesel, gasoline engines. This is 9 months long. This is our shortest program that we offer here at the school. But again, where are boats found? in bodies of water, usually at some sort of a marina. So obviously we get lots of students from the state of New Jersey, obviously being where the state is based right there at the ocean. But we get students from all over the place, from all the way up into New York and Maryland, anywhere there's bodies of water, a student can obviously do marine because they're going to be able to work on those boats. A lot of students will stay local. Some students will decide, you know what, I like warm weather. Maybe I should move down south or out west where it's warm all year long. And boats are pricey and they're pricey to maintain. The next boat that comes up on the screen there, you're going to see it's orange and black. This is a Lamborghini boat. So again, Lamborghini not only makes high-end sports cars and SUVs, they now got into boat making. So again, there's a huge need out there for skilled technicians in the automotive, diesel, collision, marine industries today. And they're looking for young skilled technicians. The problem is that we'll say in this automotive bubble, we'll put it, is that a lot of these people are at that retirement age. And there's a lot of people that work in this industry today that are getting to that point. There's going to be a big void if they don't fill all these spots. And I don't know about you, but when I take my car in to get fixed and repaired, I don't expect to wait there for weeks on end to get my car just, an oil change or something to that effect. But again, they need more and more people in this industry to keep up with all the people on the road who do have cars today. And one thing is for sure, cars and trucks are not going anywhere. Now, as I had mentioned previously, the training typically that would take place here would be 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 1:30, and with a lunch break every day from 10:30 to 11:15. We had to change things up a little bit because of COVID and obviously for social distancing reasons. So usually our maximum in a classroom would be like 24, 25 students. Now our maximum in a classroom right now is 12. So we kind of are doing like an A and B schedule, if that makes sense. So certain days are A days, and that's when the A students are physically in the building, and then the B students would be online, and then vice versa. The B students in the building and the A students online. We were able to open back up on June 15th from when everything was shut down last March. So we've been back in the building training the students ever since then, which is great. So again, like I said, with skilled trades, you need to be able to practice it, and the hands-on part is very crucial in this industry especially. And then moving on, our student services department. These are the people that are kind of like our guidance department, if you will. So they're kind of the go-to people on campus. So from helping a student out with a problem or issue, whether it be, a personal reason or something that's going on in school, from staying on top of them to make sure that they are there every single day, whether it be signing in online or whether it be physically in the building. It's a clock hour school that we do here. So we really make it, known to these students that they have to be there on time, because in the real world, this is kind of what we're gauging here, is that, they don't put up with students not showing up or, coming late every day. They'll just tell them they're fired, and that, maybe they give them a warning. So we're trying to get that across to a lot of these students that you need to show up on time or early. That's always a great thing. Obviously, things do come up in life. So if a student does miss and they're sick or something comes up in their family life, there is makeup time available for the students so they can get caught up and things like that as well. Housing is available. So I know a lot of people always ask about housing, and yes, it is available. We have a housing fair every single spring for the students that are coming from further distances with their parents, can meet with all the different housing complexes and things like that we deal with here. They can meet with them, get the information on it, and then they can go tour the facilities at this housing fair. And then it's another place where students can also possibly meet roommates, potential roommates, if you want roommates as well. And then our career services department are going to be the people that help our students with getting the employment opportunities. So within the first 2 weeks of school, like I said, we will meet with the students. We get to know them on an individual basis. Are there any barriers or anything that's, in the way of the student being successful here? Are they working already? If they are, is it in the industry? If not, then we're going to try and help them get right into the industry. So again, we work with a lot of people in the industry to help our students get employed, and they're constantly calling up the school asking for students at all various levels, part-time and then obviously full-time, and those that are graduating, they're looking for skilled young technicians. And then the last slide that I'll end on is financial aid. So just as a student that's applying to go to a four-year school or university would fill out the FAFSA, it's the same exact process here at ATC. We are a fully accredited school. So the students, if they do qualify for financial aid, obviously this would pertain to them. Scholarships are huge here at ATC. We give out the ATC scholarship, which would be 100% 50 and 25% tuition scholarships. We have one last scholarship event coming up in April for any high school senior that's still trying to figure out, what they want to do, and if this is a possibility for them, it's a chance to get free money. And then obviously, while we're all on here today for Imagine America, I always encourage all of my high school seniors to talk to their guidance department and apply for Imagine America scholarships. So again, they're very utilized here at ATC. And then we also meet with them when they are on their financial aid appointment and give them other options of other scholarships that might be available to them as well. So I will end there and give it over back to Lee, but thank you all for joining again. And I hope I get to work with you guys in the near future.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for the presentation today. I'm going to throw up a poll here. If you're interested in any upcoming virtual events or physical events for your high school seniors, please indicate so that we know who to email with more information about upcoming events. It does look like we've had a question come in. This person wants to know about GPA requirements in order to go to Automotive Training Center. Can you kind of speak about GPA or SAT or ACT scores?
Yeah, sure. So at ATC, we do not require SAT or ATC scores. Basically, the student will come into the school with their parent, guardian. They will do a tour of the facility. They will meet with our admissions department. They will give them a much more in-depth information session, if you will, than what I gave you guys today. And then they're going to kind of gauge the interest of the student and kind of get a better understanding of what type of student he or she is. Now, we know that not every student in high school, does the best or enjoys the academic classes and things like that. So there could be a lot of different reasons as to why a student isn't doing so well in school. But what we do tell them is that they are able to enroll in ATC as a senior, but they cannot start school unless they graduate and have their high school diploma. So we try and stay on top of them to make sure that they're staying on track in high school with their grades. And like I said before, I know not every student is going to be the 4.0 student, et cetera, but the biggest thing is that they need to, stay on track to graduate. So we will talk to them about classes that they don't do well in, and why is it that you don't do well in that class, or what could be like a problem issue area. So we really want to make sure ATC is a right fit for the student. So we do things more so on an individual basis than on like a GPA basis and things of that nature, if that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, I think that's great. And essentially what you're trying to find is making sure that the student is a good fit for the school and the school is a good fit for the student. And ultimately, that's best anyway. So thanks for talking about that.
Of course.
Now we have one more question. This person wants to know if the recording of the session is going to be, yes. So we are sending out the recording of this session likely tomorrow morning. So you can rewatch it or you can forward it along to any students or other faculty that may be interested in learning more about Automotive Training Center. So I just went ahead and fielded that question. Okay, now this person wants to know if they wanted to talk to Automotive Training Center's local representatives, should they go to the website or just contact yourself directly?
You can contact me. I'm the assistant director of admissions here. So I either would do it myself or I have a colleague that would be, that would handle like certain territories. So we kind of break it up that way, but you can definitely reach out to me. I would love to assist you with that. And we, would love to present to your students. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, which is, are you able to present to classrooms of seniors virtually? Because I know that,
yeah. we've been doing that since September. So once school basically was back in session, we created a whole presentation for the virtual side of things. So we're fluent in Zoom, Google Meet, and Microsoft Team, and any other platform that's out there.
Fluent, that's funny. Okay. All right, well, great. Thank you all for joining us today. Like I mentioned, we are going to be sending this recording out to you likely tomorrow. There is a quick survey when you leave this session. It's only 4 questions long. If you wouldn't mind answering that for us, it really helps us kind of better understand areas maybe that we could improve upon. All the feedback is welcome. But before closing, I just want to thank all of our participants for taking time out of their busy schedules. I know things are crazy this year, especially. And you have many demands on your time, so thank you for joining us. I also want to thank Samantha for sharing with us today's presentation and encourage each and every one of you to contact her directly with any future questions. But on behalf of the Imagine America Foundation, Samantha and myself, I want to thank you and goodbye.